Hello there, and welcome to the Alberta Update, a first-hand look at what's happening in your province. I am your host, Bruce McAllister. Thank you for being with us today. Coming up today, we will talk about the efforts to improve public safety in Alberta cities and rural communities, and we'll do that with Public Safety Minister Mike Ellis. We will discuss your utility bills and the Alberta government's efforts to lower them with Affordability and Utilities Minister Nathan Neudorf, and we'll bring you the latest on government announcements and issues. So much going on. But first, we welcome in the Premier, as we always try to at the start of the program, for a conversation. Good day, Premier Smith.
Hello, Bruce.
Hey, I thought we'd start with this. There's so much to talk about, but the federal election, everybody is talking about the campaign. And so one thing that happened I found interesting this week, the federal emissions or production cap, we know we've been opposed to in Alberta. You've spoken about it many times. There was a report from the Conference Board of Canada showing that cap will have a devastating impact on our GDP, reducing it by 11%. And yet we're still getting mixed signals from Mark Carney, the Federal Liberal Party, and the Environment Minister.
Well, and that's a real problem. I mean, I was hoping to be able to reset the relationship with the federal government, with a new leader, and yet they seem intent to continue on with the same devastating policies that have essentially locked in our resources and driven away investment for the last 10 years. The emissions cap, in particular, was one where when the Prime Minister did an interview in Alberta, he said that he was not in favor of hard caps. And then the very next day, he said that the emissions cap was here to stay. So I think this is it's difficult for us to really understand if there is going to be a change in direction. I have to presume there isn't until we actually see any action on the part of the governing party. And that's part of the reason why we've been advocating so strongly against it. We have an ad campaign letting people know just exactly how much of a devastation it would cause to our GDP, to job loss, to provincial and federal revenues. And we're going to keep on with that advocacy until the message gets through.
A new poll shows overwhelming support for building more refineries and pipelines in Canada. Isn't that great news? That is one positive thing that's come out of the conversation that Donald Trump has started, the U.S. president, with the tariffs, as Canada realizes we've got to get our product to market. You've been singing from that song sheet for quite some time. Everybody seems to be getting that message except, I guess, the Bloc leader. And I'm not sure that Mark Carney has committed to it yet. Has he said yes to any of the things you put on the table for him?
Well, what I will say is all of the premiers and the new prime minister got together, signed a communique saying we agreed to develop economic corridors that included oil and gas and transmission lines, new rail lines, new roads. So that's a positive that we've got a level of consensus among the premiers that suggests to me that regardless of who wins this upcoming election, we've got enough momentum to be able to start executing on that. But what a disappointment to see. And we should put it into context that the Quebec Bloc leader wants to split up the country. That's his sole mandate. And so he is going to do whatever he possibly can to agitate and throw a monkey wrench into the national consensus. And I think that the premiers have to stay strong, and we have to identify the issues that are taking place in each province, address them in a meaningful way. Let's make sure that we do our consultation with First Nations, get First Nations equity ownership, deal with environmental issues, find the proper route, and be able to work collaboratively so that every province benefits from it. That's the solution going forward. So I think that there's a real opportunity for us now in every province to make that case. When we commissioned that poll, we broke it down on a regional basis, and even in Quebec, there is a super majority of people who want to see these kinds of economic corridors and pipelines develop. So I think that we've got some momentum, and so I would say it's full steam ahead. That being said, though, Bruce, I mean, it's great to build a corridor. It's great to put on paper that you believe in oil and gas pipelines to be built. But if you have an emissions cap and you have a regulatory process that takes 10 years to get to an approval, and you also have net zero regulations putting in unreasonable emissions targets that are unachievable within a short period of time, it doesn't matter what you put on paper. You actually have to have policies in place that give investor confidence to allow the investment to take place. And that's why we continue to fight against the kind of policies that have kept our resources locked in the ground for the last 10 years.
Premier, your efforts, your diplomacy is getting through across this
Mm.
country. A lot of people are telling you that. I know you get a lot of criticism from Eastern media as well, but a lot of Canadians are recognizing that what you say makes great sense, and you're not stopping at the border with your message. You again took it to the U.S. this week to try and influence the U.S. president that our relationship with them is an important one.
Yep. The thing that I've learned so far with this U.S. president is that he obviously has very strong views, and he's dug in on the issue of tariffs, but he is open to being persuaded. And the best people to persuade him are the people that he has put into key positions who are around him. I've been meeting with them and telling the Alberta story and telling the Canadian story, but also all of the job creators in the U.S. who rely on on Canadian raw materials and intermediate goods in order for them to be able to create products that are low cost and also create good jobs for the American people. This is the reason I think why we've begun to have a breakthrough, is that there are a lot of voices in the U.S. in industry, in government, at the state level, as well as voices of the industry groups and the businesses who are able to make that case. The influencers, I think, around the president are really the key for us to be able to get that breakthrough through, which is why I'm going to keep on doing as much lobbying as I can. I will talk to anyone who wants to hear the Alberta story and the Canadian story, because I think the goal should be that we go back to having the same kind of virtually tariff-free relationship that we've been able to enjoy for the last number of decades.
Here, here. I want to ask you about the carbon tax, Premier, because Mark Carney held a staged photo op where he appeared to sign an order putting an end to the consumer carbon tax. And everybody said, rah, 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 way to go, although it was Liberal policy for the last decade, defended nearly to death. In any event, nothing has happened. People are paying probably 15 cents more for gas than they were when that was signed. Can you clear it up for people as to how that really works, and what we really need to happen for consumers in this country?
What I'd like to see on April 1st is that if the carbon tax indeed does come off, everybody should see a 17-cent decline in the amount that they're paying at the pump. Now, I've asked my Service Alberta Minister, Dale Nally, he's responsible for consumer protection. What we want to make sure is that the retail gas companies are passing that savings through. So I've put a little bit of a warning out there. I've noticed those prices creep up. Some of that is legitimate. Sometimes what happens is that retailers try to keep prices as low as possible because it's very competitive. But because of wholesale markets, if the wholesale price goes up, it means our prices go up. And indeed, prices have recovered a little bit. So having it go up a little bit is justifiable. But I would expect on April 1st, we should see a dramatic decrease in that price. And I'll be asking Minister Nally to make sure it happens.
Let's hope so. Premier, thank you as always for this. And we will take a break for Constit Week next week. We'll see you the week after.
See you then. Thanks, Bruce.
All right, there is Premier Danielle Smith on the Alberta Update with us today. Finance Minister Nate Horner introducing a new bill aimed at lowering the cost of auto insurance for Albertans. If passed, the Automobile Insurance Act would bring in key changes to Alberta's auto insurance system and establish improved access to health and medical benefits for those injured in vehicle collisions. This would include medical care, rehabilitation, daily living assistance, and other supports. Ultimately, these changes would give Alberta drivers the best benefits of any system in Canada if they need medical care and rehabilitation following a collision. Here is Finance Minister Nate Horner.
The new legislation would provide innovative solutions to meet the challenge of reducing costs while providing improved access to benefits. Under a Care First insurance system, everyone injured in a traffic accident can access medical, rehabilitation, income support, and permanent impairment benefits. That's regardless of who is at fault in that collision, because everyone deserves access to care and treatment. But let me stress, fault still matters. The system will still ensure that bad drivers are held accountable through higher premiums, and Albertans would still be able to sue an at-fault driver in certain circumstances. But we have to make sure that such circumstances are reasonable, since lawsuits are driving cost increases in auto insurance, with reports showing a 48% increase in collision-related lawsuits between 2018 and 2022, and litigation costs exceeding $1.2 billion a year. It's no wonder insurance rates have spiked. This legislation will reduce costs while putting the focus on providing care for those who are injured in an accident.
The Minister of Finance, Nate Horner. Now, the government plans to consult with healthcare and insurance representatives on key operational elements of the Care First model as this legislation progresses. There will no doubt be amendments. Further regulations to implement the changes could be introduced in the fall of 2025. Alberta's privately delivered Care First system will start January 1st of 2027. Well, we talk about this a lot. The Alberta Advantage has attracted a lot of newcomers to this province, and with that comes significant challenges. One of the ministers responsible for dealing with those joins us now. He is the Affordability and Utilities Minister, Nathan Neudorf. I might have got that backwards. In any event, Minister, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Bruce. No, you got it exactly right. Great to be
It
here.
is.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
It is affordability and utilities. I shouldn't question myself. Hey, let's get to business. I got a few questions for you today. The first one would be this: how is Alberta's government and how is your ministry helping coordinate supports for all these newcomers that we talk about?
Well, you're absolutely right. It's a great story. Having people want to move here, want to be part of the Alberta Advantage, and it's terrific. It's a terrific challenge to have. So there's a number of things that we're doing to help make sure that they land well. The biggest one, obviously, is the tax cut that we promised in the 2023 election that will save $750 per person or up to $1,500 per family if they've got two working adults in the family. We're proud to bring that forward in this year's budget. And also in the budget is, if passed, we will provide $5 million to support food security for things that Albertans need, obviously food, and affordable housing. We have allocated $292 million for the Alberta Social Housing Corporation and another $298 million in capital grants for affordable housing supports. These are just a few of the things we're doing, as well as working on stabilizing and lowering utility costs, which is something every Albertan needs no matter where they live.
Right. I'm going to follow up on those, but thank you. That's good context, and I know that tax break. You're getting great feedback from everybody on that one. Listen, last month you launched an ad campaign talking about the rate of last resort, and telling Albertans not to settle for the rate of last resort when it came to their utility bills. How is that going? Maybe I'll ask you a two-parter. Are we seeing a lot of people go to the convert from the rate of last resort, and how many and how much is it helping?
Yeah, great questions. It is helping a lot. Now, for those who don't know, the rate of last resort is the name we've attributed to the default rate. So if you move to Alberta, you just landed in a new home and you need electricity, obviously, that's the rate you're going to pay because you haven't had time to check out the options that you might have in our competitive retail market, which is different than other provinces. You haven't had a time to get a credit check. You just landed, right? So it's a default rate. The reason we changed it to that name is so people would go, wow, that doesn't sound great. What other options do I have? And we have the Utilities Consumer Advocate to give them more information about the choices that they have. So those that stay on the rate, it's now stabilized. They get a consistent rate for 2 years, just over 12 cents a kilowatt, which is fairly reasonable. It's not meant to be the lowest, but it's meant to be stable. And yes, the advertising campaign that we've started now to make people more aware of their options is really going well. And a couple years ago, we had over 700,000 Albertans on this fluctuating volatile rate. Today, we're down below 400,000. So we're really getting there. We're really seeing people a lot more interested in understanding their utility rates and learning what options are available to them. Just a great tool. We've had a lot of engagement, and we're proud of this measure to serve Albertans.
Yep, kudos to you and your department for coming up with it, Minister. Listen, you're fighting with the federal Liberals, and their, I guess you can call them, their disastrous clean electricity regulations. ISO, that is the Alberta Electric System Operator, recently released its analysis on these regulations and the impact it would have on the electricity grid. Could you speak to that?
Absolutely. This is just what the federal Liberal NDP coalition fails to realize, is that their green policies have a cost. They have a price tag to them. And this one If we were to change our whole grid to what they wanted, it would cost Albertans a massive $30 billion, which is just enormous. It's just an enormous hit to our economy, and it would make it absolutely unsustainable. The cost to the individual utility ratepayer would be exorbitant. And the regulations further would make our grid, ISO says it would make our grid 100 times less reliable and increase electricity prices by up to 35%. So these are just realistic outcomes of disastrous policies for not listening to the people of Alberta, not listening to the government of Alberta, and not listening to the private corporations that have worked and operated and served Albertans for decades. And we just won't stand for it. We will not put Albertan families at risk. And the next government in Ottawa, whoever that might be, absolutely must scrap the clean electricity regulations and get back to a reality that is affordable for Canadians from coast to coast to coast.
This month, ISO also released its 2024 annual market statistics report, which is showing some very good news when it comes to electricity, thanks to the changes being made right here in Alberta. Can you share some of the highlights of it?
Absolutely. So we're really proud of the work we're doing to serve Albertans. Last year, we brought on more than 3,000 megawatts of generation to our grid, which is growing. And this is in spite of the growth of demand as well. And that means that our capacity has increased by 11%. The really key part is a huge amount of that was dispatchable, which means that we can call on it whenever, whatever time of day, whatever time of year, and it's going to be there. And this has really stabilized our system, balanced out some of our generation, as well as brought generation costs down by about 53% year over year. On top of that, we've seen that natural gas prices have dropped 49%, and we're just seeing a tremendous affordability stability coming forward for Alberta ratepayers. We still got more work to do, but very proud of how far we've come. And one last thing I'll say is that for the first time since 2016, so almost a decade since we've been a net exporter of electricity, just showing that our free market, innovative businesses within Alberta can really meet the need when called upon. And we're really proud of them and really proud of our province.
Whatever you're doing, it sure appears to be working. A large and technical file for sure. Minister, thank you for your work and for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Bruce.
All right, there is our Affordability and Utilities Minister, Nathan Neudorf. Alberta's government is stepping up to provide transportation for seniors in rural Alberta. As part of a 3-year partnership, the government is investing $3.5 million so that healthy aging in Alberta can provide accessible and affordable transportation for seniors and Albertans with mobility issues across 19 rural communities. The Healthy Aging Alberta Provincial Transportation Project started with 5 communities. That was back in 2023, with nearly 7,200 rides provided to seniors and persons with mobility challenges in rural communities. The project is now being expanded to a total of 19 communities, with Phase 2 adding 14 additional communities throughout the province. Communities with a high percentage of low-income seniors were prioritized, and successful communities were chosen based on need and their readiness to implement and expand assisted transportation services. You may have heard Minister Jason Nixon talking about it in the legislature this week. Well, Alberta's government is partnering with municipalities to tackle social disorder that's arising from the fentanyl crisis by aligning community peace officers with local police. And the man in charge of that, Mike Ellis. Good day, Minister.
Good day, Bruce. Thanks for having me on the show.
Boy, this one's important to Albertans, and you have been a warrior on it. In recent weeks, you've said that enhancing law enforcement coordination is crucial to strengthening enforcement efforts in our ongoing fight against fentanyl and the illicit drug trade. Can you tell us, Minister, a little bit more about the approach that you've employed and how it's working?
Well, thanks, Bruce. Look, we've been tackling this, what we call a multi-pronged approach. As you're fully aware, we did a lot of border security work, invested $29 million, 51 peace officers down at the border to work collaboratively with the CBSA and the National RCMP. Of course, the investment we've made in Alberta Law Enforcement Response Team, approximately $54 million to tackle the organized crime component of that within the province of Alberta. And of course, they're working with the national RCMP and American agencies such as the DEA as an example. But then there's a third component of this, and that is what you already mentioned, right? That's the social and civil disorder component of this. I think, as we're all aware, the former Prime Minister committed about 10,000 frontline people to the border. We know some of the authorized strength levels that police agencies, including the RCMP, have had right across this country. So we wanted to make sure that we were doing our part. So we worked with local municipalities such as Alberta Munis and RMA and all these mid-sized and large cities to make sure that the peace officer program was working in collaboration with the police of jurisdiction. And I can tell you right now, it has been very successful.
Hey, to that point, municipalities, are they pretty supportive of the program, of working together on this one?
Yeah, we've had from the mid-sized to large municipalities, again, it includes Calgary and Edmonton and our mid-sized munis. We've had 34 that have certainly bought into the program. And I can tell you that we've had an enormous amount of success. And we were able to put over 800 basically boots on the ground in a coordinated effort, right? So you could talk about our peace officers working alongside in collaboration with the police of jurisdiction. And that has just made just an enormous difference in these mid-sized and large municipalities. And I'll just give you an example. For example, in Cold Lake, they aligned themselves, the peace officer program aligned themselves very closely with the RCMP. They were able to take down an encampment, and they actually ended up taking well over 2,000 kilograms of waste just out of the community and off the streets. And then we've had a lot of success in the city of Calgary as well. I can tell you that the peace officer program, working very much alongside the police of jurisdiction, was the Calgary Police Service. I think about 230 charges have been laid, 1,500 arrest warrants, weapons, drugs have been seized, and this is a big one: 300 grams of fentanyl taken off the streets of Calgary. And that's a win. They even did an intervention on a possible human trafficking victim. And so outstanding work by these peace officers and outstanding work by the police of jurisdictions right throughout this province.
I've heard you speak about this several times about the need to resource our police forces, sheriffs, what have you, to make sure they can do the work that you're asking them to do. Are you comfortable that you're doing all you can there? And maybe speak to how complex it must be for these organizations to work together operationally.
Yeah, I mean, this is all complicated, right? As you've heard me say before, Bruce, I mean, there's no single one solution to a very, very complex issue. And tackling the fentanyl crisis is no different. Obviously, making sure that we have the resources for those who have the neurobiological illness of addiction, and we've done that through our recovery-oriented system of care, which I know you're fully aware of, but also making sure that we tackle this through the organized crime lens and making sure that people are feeling safe on the streets. I mean, Bruce, President Trump, when he talked about fentanyl up in Canada, I mean, he was not incorrect in the intelligence that he was receiving down there. I mean, the RCMP have confirmed this. We have over 4,000 organized crime groups in Canada alone. The RCMP have also confirmed that we are a net exporter of fentanyl. But I can tell you, with the work that we have done with our peace officers, our police officers, the organized crime, securing the border, I can tell you that in Alberta, A, our border is secure, and B, I can tell you that in no way are the Americans going to be able to use fentanyl as a reason for tariffs, at least not here in Alberta.
Hey, listen, I'll ask you one more before I let you go. And thank you for that, by the way. That is really good context. How about the big cities? You have your hands full there, Edmonton, Calgary, probably not even just the big cities, some of the medium-sized cities as well. We had encampments. You put up a navigation center. You had most of those taken down. Is there anything we need to know on that front that we give a message to Albertans in those cities about how you're trying to clean those up and keep people safe?
Well, again, it's a very complex issue, but I would say that not only are we leading the country on this, we're leading North America on this. And, we talk about the encampments. As far as I'm aware, we're the only jurisdiction in North America that has been able to not only take down encampments, but make sure that they stay down and make sure that people are actually being directed in the resources that are actually going to get them the help that they need. One of the latest numbers I think I had heard is that I think it was in the number in and around 8,000 people have been able to be assisted through our navigation centers in both Edmonton and Calgary. I mean, that's amazing, quite frankly, on a various stages of wellness through the recovery-oriented system of care. And then again, making sure that we tackle the drug dealers, whether it be the low-level drug dealers that are causing harm to people in the city of Calgary, Edmonton, or anywhere, quite frankly, in Alberta. But then also going after these larger cartels that are here in Alberta, which is why we're the Alberta Law Enforcement Response Team working with the National RCMP, working with organized crime sections within Calgary, Edmonton, and any of our police services are doing a phenomenal job. And we're making sure we're taking down these super labs and putting these bad guys in jail.
Yep, we are grateful for our men and women in blue, aren't we, Minister? So thanks for your work, and we'll see you again next time. Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Services, Mike Ellis. Some good news on the economic front. Crust Craft is investing $51 million to expand its Alberta-based bakery. The new high-capacity baking facility in Edmonton will serve local and surrounding markets while boosting the province's agriculture and food manufacturing sectors. The planned 120,000 to 150,000 square foot facility will create 55 permanent jobs, 25 temporary jobs for hardworking Albertans. To support the expansion, Alberta's government is providing $2 million through the Investment and Growth Fund, a deal closing program designed to attract high-impact private sector investments in the province. Well, that does it for this edition of the Alberta Update, a first-hand look at what's happening in your province. A reminder, you can find us on YouTube, of course, on Rumble, and all of the socials as well. We will take a break next week as the legislature breaks for constituency week, but we will be back here the week after to keep you up to date on what's happening in the province and with your government. Thank you for being with us today, and we will see you again next time.